can overcome some of the problems of using cumulative incidence as a measure by turning to another measure called incidence rate. Incidence rate is the number of new cases over a given period of time, but it's divided by the total time that people were at risk. You'll recall that to calculate cumulative incidence, we divided by the number of people at risk at the start of the period. But for incidence rate, we're dividing by the total time that people were at risk. We use the term person years at risk, or PYAR or PYAR. One PYAR is the observation of one person for 1 year. During our diabetes study, Andrew was at risk of acquiring diabetes for 15 months, since he couldn't be at risk of acquiring diabetes after he was dead. Bob was at risk for 7 months and Cathy was at risk for 4 months. They stopped being at risk of acquiring diabetes once they actually had it. So they couldn't newly acquire something that they already had. Remember that incidence refers to new cases, whereas prevalence refers to all cases. Deb was at risk for 15 months, and Erin was at risk throughout the entire 2-year period. Frank was never at risk of newly acquiring diabetes, since he had the disease from the very beginning. So let's calculate the incidence rate for the first year of our study. You'll recall that we need to divide the total number of new cases in that first year by the total time that people were at risk, which we express as person years at risk, or PYAR. The incidence count in the first year is 2. Bob and Cathy both acquired diabetes in the first year. The total time that people were at risk was 47 months, made up of 12 months for Andrew, 7 months for Bob, 4 months for Cathy, 12 months for Deb, 12 months for Erin, and 0 months for Frank. So it's 2 cases for 47 months, which is roughly 4 years. So that's 0.5 cases per person year at risk. In epidemiology, we usually express incidence rate as cases per 100,000 PYAR. So in this example, the incidence rate for diabetes in year 1 of our study is 50,000 cases per 100,000 PYAR. Now let's look at the year 2 of the same study. The incidence count in year 2 is 1 because Deb has newly acquired diabetes, but no one else newly acquired it in year 2. The total time that people were at risk was 18 months, made up of 3 months for Andrew before he died, 0 months each for Bob and Cathy because they both already had diabetes, so couldn't be at risk of newly acquiring it, 3 months for Deb until she acquired the disease, 12 months for Erin, who has remained healthy throughout the whole study, and 0 months for Frank. This gives us 1 case for 18 person months at risk, or about 0.67 cases per person year at risk. This can be expressed as about 67,000 cases per 100,000 PYAR.